Your gut is talking to you right now, and you probably don't even realize it. That bloating after meals, the brain fog that hits mid-afternoon, the constant fatigue that no amount of sleep seems to fix. These are all signs that your intestinal barrier might be compromised. What we call a leaky gut is actually a real physiological condition where the tight junctions in your small intestine become permeable, allowing undigested food particles and bacterial toxins to slip into your bloodstream. This triggers an immune response that creates systemic inflammation throughout your body. The good news is that your gut is remarkably resilient, and emerging research shows you can make significant improvements in just 7 days with the right approach. This is the exact science-backed blueprint that's going to walk you through it. First, let's understand what's actually happening inside your gut right now. Your intestinal lining is made up of a single layer of epithelial cells held together by tight junction proteins called claudins and occludins. These proteins are like security guards at a nightclub, deciding what gets through and what stays out. When you're stressed, eating inflammatory foods, or dealing with dysbiosis, these proteins weaken. Zonulin is a protein that essentially opens up these tight junctions, and it's triggered by gluten, certain bacteria, and high sugar intake. Once those junctions open, your gut becomes permeable, which is exactly where the damage begins. Understanding this mechanism is crucial because it means you can reverse it by addressing the root causes. Day 1 is all about eliminating the inflammatory triggers. You need to remove gluten immediately because it directly increases zonulin production. Even if you're not celiac, gluten is highly inflammatory, and it's one of the fastest ways to damage your intestinal barrier. Alongside gluten, you're cutting out refined sugar because it feeds pathogenic bacteria and creates dysbiosis. Remove seed oils like canola and soybean oil because they're high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fats. These seed oils promote inflammation. Also eliminate processed foods, artificial sweeteners, and alcohol because these all damage the intestinal lining. This might sound restrictive, but you're only doing this for 7 days to let your gut reset. Think of it as giving your digestive system an emergency break from constant irritation. On day 1, you're also starting your first healing protocol, bone broth. Bone broth contains gelatin and collagen, which are broken down into amino acids like glutamine and glycine. Glutamine is perhaps the most important amino acid for gut health because it's the preferred fuel source for intestinal epithelial cells. It quite literally rebuilds the lining of your gut. Collagen provides the structural matrix that holds your intestinal cells together. You want to consume at least 1 to 2 cups of bone broth daily, and ideally you're sipping it throughout the day. If you're vegetarian, you can substitute with a high-quality glutamine powder, though bone broth is superior because it provides additional minerals and other amino acids that support healing. Days 2 and 3 are about repopulating your gut with beneficial bacteria. Your dysbiosis didn't happen overnight, but the good news is that probiotics can start recolonizing your gut within 48 hours. You're looking for multi-strain probiotics with at least 20 billion CFUs, ideally containing lactobacillus and bifidobacterium species. These beneficial bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which feeds your intestinal cells and strengthens the tight junctions. Beyond probiotics, you're consuming prebiotic foods like partially hydrolyzed guar gum and inulin because these feed your good bacteria and allow them to flourish. You're also adding fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi, which contain live cultures that aid in rebalancing your microbiome. The key here is consistency. You're taking these every single day for the full 7 days. Days 2 through 4, you're implementing the Elemental Diet Protocol. An elemental diet is specifically formulated nutrition that requires minimal digestive effort. Your gut has been working overtime, and right now it needs rest. You're consuming meal replacement shakes that are hypoallergenic and completely broken down into amino acids, simple sugars, and easily absorbed fats. This gives your intestinal lining a chance to heal without the constant stimulation of digesting whole foods. Research shows that elemental diets can reduce intestinal permeability by up to 70% in just 3 to 5 days. You're consuming these shakes for breakfast and lunch, and then you're having a very gentle whole food dinner that we'll discuss in a moment. This isn't starvation. You're getting adequate calories. It's strategic rest. Your dinner throughout all 7 days follows specific guidelines. You're eating easily digestible proteins like grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish, and organic chicken. You're including healthy fats from sources like ghee, coconut oil, and avocado because fat is essential for nutrient absorption and for producing the mucus layer that protects your intestinal lining. You're eating cooked vegetables only, no raw vegetables, because cooking breaks down the cell walls and makes them easier to digest. Focus on vegetables like carrots, zucchini, sweet potato, and asparagus. You're avoiding high FODMAP vegetables because these are fermentable and can cause bloating and gas while your gut is healing. Every dinner includes bone broth as the base for cooking. This continuously infuses your meals with those healing amino acids. Days 4 through 7, you're adding an L-Glutamine supplementation. While you're getting glutamine from bone broth, additional supplementation accelerates healing. You're taking 5 to 10 grams twice daily, dissolved in water or added to your bone broth. Glutamine is an amino acid that literally serves as building blocks for your intestinal cells. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition shows that glutamine supplementation accelerates intestinal barrier recovery and reduces inflammatory markers. You're taking Zinc Carnosine, which is a chelated compound of zinc and the amino acid carnosine. This compound has been extensively studied in Japan and Europe for gut healing, and it works by stimulating mucus production and strengthening tight junctions. You're taking 75 milligrams twice daily throughout the 7 days. Throughout all 7 days, stress management is absolutely critical because psychological stress is a major driver of intestinal permeability. When you're stressed, your nervous system triggers the release of corticotropin-releasing hormone, which increases zonulin production and opens up those tight junctions. You're implementing daily meditation for at least 10 minutes. You're doing gentle movement like walking or restorative yoga, not intense exercise, which can be inflammatory while you're healing. You're getting 8 hours of sleep because growth hormone, which is produced during deep sleep, is essential for tissue repair, including your intestinal lining. You're also practicing box breathing, inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding for 4. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest mode. Hydration is another critical element that's often overlooked. You need to drink at least 3 liters of filtered water daily because water is required for every cellular function, including the synthesis of tight junction proteins. You're also consuming herbal teas that support gut healing, like slippery elm, which contains mucilage that coats and protects the intestinal lining. You're also consuming licorice root, which reduces inflammation and supports mucus production. You're avoiding coffee and black tea during these 7 days because caffeine can increase gastric acid production and irritate your already sensitive lining. If you absolutely need caffeine, switch to green tea, which is much gentler. On days 5 through 7, you're introducing bone broth-based soups. You're making soups with bone broth as the base, adding in shredded chicken, cooked carrots, and cooked celery. The longer you simmer these soups, the more collagen breaks down into gelatin, and you're essentially drinking liquid healing. You can add sea salt for electrolytes, which are crucial for cellular function. These soups are not just food, they're medicine. Traditional cultures have used bone broth for thousands of years, specifically for gut healing, and modern science is finally validating what our ancestors knew. You're consuming 1 to 2 bowls of soup daily, in addition to your other meals. By day 7, you should notice significant changes. Your bloating will have reduced because you're no longer fermenting undigested food in your colon. Your energy will be improved because your body is no longer mounting an immune response to leaked particles. Your mental clarity will be sharper because your brain is no longer dealing with inflammation from leaky gut. You might notice your skin is clearer because your body has stopped trying to eliminate toxins through your skin. These changes happen because you've addressed the root cause, the actual damage to your intestinal barrier, rather than just treating symptoms. After day 7, you don't immediately go back to your old eating habits. Continue taking your probiotics and L-Glutamine for at least another month, because healing is a process.